Hello and welcome to our podcast, The Mystic Sisters. And today's episode is a Halloween special. And on Halloween, it's the time where the veil between our world and the spirit world is at its thinnest. So we are going to be channeling some messages. And we are connecting today with both Jim Morrison and Michael Hutchence because we've picked up on their energies. And also, so we're going to be asking the questions, talking about the veil. Do you want to start off, Kelly?
Yeah, Sarah and I have been talking lately about the ascension energies, and we've been picking up on Jim Morrison and Michael Hutchence in the collective, trying to help with the ascension process, trying to help us to ascend. And they're trying to help as well. It feels they're trying to help us awaken and to expand our minds more, to think more for ourselves. We were just talking about that, Sarah, that Michael has that Aquarius energy, and Jim, in a way, has it as well, even though he was Sagittarius. He has that hippie like energy, that, free thinker, think for yourself. Plus, they've been in past lives together, so they feel comfortable together, but they have like a mutual respect, it feels like, for each other too, because of the musician side of things.
Yeah, they both got similar energy. And Michael Hutchence, he was inspired by Jim, and so yes, we both picked on their energy being together.
Yeah, and it seems like they're around each other. It feels like they're just helping people come together to achieve goals, like maybe collaborations and stuff. And it doesn't just have to be musical, it can be like creatively. Like they're both helping each other. They're inspiring people too. It feels like they're trying to help people to get more creative.
Because Michael Hutchence is, we find out he's an Aquarius, so Aquariuses are very creative and forward thinking, and even though Jim's a Sagittarius, so he's got that free spirited creative energy as well.
Exactly. Yeah. And Jim really loves Aquarius energy. He likes being around that, more of like a free spirit energy. He likes that. He likes to like we were talking about, Sarah, he likes talking to different people to get ideas from people and things. Or just bouncing ideas off of each other.
Yeah, I'm picking up, even though the energy is similar, it's similar in some ways, it's also opposite in other ways. And I feel like with Jim, he showed me the throat chakra, so he is all about expressing himself, expressing different views, encouraging different thoughts, free thinking. And then with Michael Hutchinson, he showed me his heart chakra. So
Yeah.
oh yeah, you picked up on that too.
I was picturing Michael. I know it sounds weird, kind of like as Cupid in a way, floating around. Like I think heart
it
chakra.
feels like it's weird. It feels like he's got a softer energy than Jim. Like Jim, he tends to he feels like he speaks his mind, and he'll say things even though sometimes it could be controversial, but he's
Yeah.
trying to make a change and make people think.
Yeah, I think Jim, because you even mentioned this earlier, Jim wants us to not depend on anyone. He wants us to, because remember you were talking about that.
Yeah,
He wants us to stand up for ourselves, kind of, and just ascend on our own in a way. But I think Michael's doing it more. Let's get together with your soul family and stuff, and let's get you going, or let's get you creating. And Jim's more, let's ascend on our own.
yeah, yeah. Michael, he feels like he's got a soft energy, and I feel that he's very linked to the heart chakra, and it's got a very emotional energy, and then Jim's got this very, not harsh in a negative way, but he's got a very Jim's energy is very very direct.
Yeah.
So it feels,
And traditional too. He's more traditional in a way.
yeah, yeah. It's interesting because they're both working together, but then they both it's like the expression of what they try to do is opposite, but it works somehow.
Works against them in a way. Going around in circles trying to get something done because they have different opinions.
I feel like they want to try and they want us to use both those energies but create a balance. So being able to, so Jim's all about freedom of speech and being direct, whereas Michael is a softer energy, loving, passionate. I feel like we got to be in the middle, so listen to our heart, and also being more assertive as well. So if you're an empath, it can be difficult to be assertive, but the balance of energy is showing us that we can be loving, and we can also be assertive as well. Balance that energy. We can still express ourselves. We can be assertive, balancing the gentleness with the directness.
That makes sense. And then I picked up too that since Michael died more recent than Jim, because it was in the 90s and Jim was in the 70s, Jim had more time to heal, but Michael, in a sense, is still attached to, his journey, like with that, the soulmate. Like he's still attached to that love part of it, like with having to be with someone. And Jim's more like, well, you could still ascend on your own.
Yeah. So yeah, so with Michael, he's still attached to that his most recent past life as Michael, and he's still working on healing on an emotional level. And
Oh, Jim's helping him do that, I think, right?
yeah, I feel that he's trying to cut some cords with his past life. There's still healing work that he's doing, because in the spirit world, it feels like he's having difficulty with expressing himself fully because of things that happened to him in his past life. And I feel Jim is helping him. So he's helping to balance that energy and helping him to speak out. I feel that it was difficult for Michael to express himself during his past life, and I feel like he didn't get enough closure with his love life as well. I feel like there's still healing that he's got to do. So I feel like he's becoming stronger, and he's receiving help from Jim to help him with disconnecting from that energy.
Yeah, I think some of it too is one of his soulmates is still alive on Earth. And I think when she gets sad, that kind of pulls Michael back into that life, like in
Yeah,
his family and other people that are still alive. So I think when he tries to like heal and stuff, I think the more people get saddened, or, some of them don't have the closure as well, because one of them he had a strong bond with is still kind of, I feel like she's questioning everything. Like, what was that? What were we? Or not having that closure because he died before he could. Because I feel the woman that the mother of his kid at the end of his life was the twin flame, and the soulmate was the one that he was with prior to her. And I feel that the soulmate one didn't get its chance. They didn't really get closure.
yeah, yeah. I feel like there were a couple of relationships he's healing from in the spirit world, and he's talking about communication. He had difficulty with communication and expressing how he really felt. He had difficulty with expressing himself to people close to him, and also with his music as well. He wasn't expressing himself with how he wanted to. He wasn't using his voice. He wasn't expressing his true feelings through his music. So there's a blockage there that he's working through, and I do feel like there's a lot of fear around him as well at the end of his life.
Yeah.
And he was losing sense of who he was. There's a feeling of being lost. His life ended suddenly. He wasn't able to express himself to the people he loved properly, and he wasn't able to express himself to the world properly. So I feel like he was silenced in different ways. And he says that he was silencing himself in some ways. He wasn't allowing himself to be open, to be vulnerable, and to express himself. And he says that he wishes that he'd listen more to his own intuition rather than listen to people around him. So there's a lot of control around him. And he was made to feel like he shouldn't express himself properly, that he had to do what he was told. He had to sing what he was told. He had to make the music that he was told. He had to speak publicly on what he was told. He felt like he lost sense of who he was, and he's trying to find that authenticity, and he's trying to heal and get closure on his life.
I keep getting mystified. There's a song he's saying, Mystify, and I keep hearing, Mystify, Mystify me.
Oh yeah, I know that song.
He's saying, I keep hearing it, and he's saying to me that when he said that the most he felt connected in his life was through music. So the most communication, like the easiest way for him to communicate was through songs, and that he felt like he would heal through music. So when he was doing songs, he felt like he was like closer to spirit. Like that was his way, because he would heal, and he'd heal others through music and through his words and his lyrics. And he felt a closer to connection to spirit whenever he was singing. And he keeps bringing up that song, I think, Mystify, about the mystical world, like spiritual world, and that's why he wanted me to hear that song, you know?
Yeah, he did feel mystified by life, by his spiritual connection. I feel that he wasn't able to explore his spiritual connection during his life as Michael. He's saying that he didn't have that space and that time in his life to explore his spiritual connection. I feel like he was trying to find his way to the light, he says. And I just feel like there's a lot of control around him. He was silenced a lot. He says he lost himself along the way. And towards the end of his life, he was trying to find his way to the light. But he says the light got turned off before I found my way. So he didn't have enough time in his life to heal and to make changes and to find his spiritual connection. So he had the abilities. Then he resonated with spirituality, but he didn't have enough time to explore that. And I feel that he was very lost towards the end of his life, and he says he did feel mystified.
He felt mystified when he was alive.
He says that life in general mystified him. He's saying that he was always questioning. He was always questioning life, but he didn't get to really understand it. He didn't get enough time to explore.
Yeah.
He feels some disappointment that he didn't have that time.
He got distracted by women. He just showed me that. He showed me that his attention span, like as he was trying to explore, yes, he was trying to do music to heal. He kept getting distracted by women. Like he's showing me like easily distracted by women. He's like showing in my head, like one's walking by and there goes all his attention and he's following her.
He says that to start with, he also got distracted by fame as well. But he says that towards the end of his life, he was seeking more meaning, because he says that he realized that that wasn't real, and he felt like he needed fame, recognition to feel something, to feel like his life was meaningful. But then he realized that it didn't mean anything, and he was searching for a deeper meaning, but he didn't get time to explore it. I feel like he wanted to communicate to his fans, to the world. He wanted to communicate that the material life and fame is not the most important thing. I feel like he wanted to give that message. He wasn't able to express himself in that way.
How did he get involved with Jim? Like how did they decide to team up?
He showed me that he resonates with Jim's energy, and because during his lifetime he felt a connection to Jim. He felt a connection to his music. it found him a big inspiration, and he wishes that he had some of his directness. He wishes that he had more of Jim's energy so he could express himself in the way that he wanted to. And so I feel like that's why he was drawn towards Jim. And then I can see Jim helping him. And I feel like Jim is helping him to review that life and to leave it behind so he can move on.
And then
And
maybe helping, or maybe Michael's helping Jim with his heart, like that part of things.
yeah, yeah, it does feel like a healing kind of friendship. They're helping each other. And I also feel like they're coming through because they want to teach us about balancing those energies. Jim is saying that he says he could have been a bit softer. So I feel that in some ways he wishes he had more of the heart chakra energy. He wanted to explore his healing side more. His energy here on earth was all about questioning. For his music, he wanted people to think deeper. But then I feel like he wanted some of that heart chakra energy because he wished that he'd explored that healing side himself. And he says that although he did talk about love a lot, he says that he doesn't believe that he understood love as his lifetime as Jim. He says he views love as something that you work on over time, and it's more of a partnership rather than a love that is passionate, burns out quickly. He sees love now as something that is more stable and you work and build on. So he says that in spirit world his view of love is changing. So he wished that he could have explored that version of love during his lifetime as Jim.
That makes sense because in his past lives too, he was focused more on career and he really didn't focus on love. Like it wasn't something that he was focusing on. It's something that was more like on the back burner. He was more focused on his mission and his career, pretty much, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that he focused so much on his career that he says he burnt out and he wasn't able to live long enough to learn more about life and to build a relationship. He just says that he was like a flame that burnt out quickly. That everything was very full on in his life, and then he burnt out. And I feel like during his lifetime as Jim, he was putting so much pressure on himself, and he was chasing after that fame, and he realized that it wasn't how he wanted to express himself, because in the end he says with fame you lose your voice. So because there's so much control around him that he wasn't able to at the end of his life he wasn't able to express himself in the way he wanted to, and so he lost a lot of control of his life. So he wishes that he took life more slowly and that he took time to explore the aspects of his life.
Jim also, like Michael, he lost himself in that life as Jim, that he wasn't himself. Like, pretty much, especially at the end of his life, like, he just became someone else. Like, it wasn't really him. Um, and he even was having trouble telling good from the bad in a sense, in a way, at the very end. Like, it was getting distorted. Things were getting distorted. He was having issues with that and even missing out like on people, because of just everything going. There was so much chaos around him.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that he just lost into who he was, and he just felt that he was going through the motions at the end of his life. He wasn't himself anymore, and he was so controlled by the people around him, and he didn't have many true friends around him. He was very lost. I feel both of them, they became very lost at the end of their lives.
Yeah, he felt kind of trapped, and he didn't know what to do, in a sense, like to get himself out of it, in a way. Like he didn't know what to do because everything was feeling so distorted and fuzzy. That's the feeling I'm getting in the word, like kind of just out of it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I just feel very like things were very fuzzy and very, very spaced out. Like he says he felt in some ways like he's been pulled out of that life because he just felt less grounded.
Oh, wow. Is that, he was kind of, did spirit pull him out?
No, he says he felt like that in some ways because he just became less grounded, more dissociated.
Ooh, that hits the word for me because I'm dissociated. Like a counselor said I have dissociation, so I wonder if it's the end of my life too. Because he's, I don't know, that just sparked a thing for me.
Just well, dissociation. It doesn't mean the end of your life. It's like just a sense of being disconnected from where you are, but you can work on that and heal it and ground yourself. But I feel it's just the feeling of what he's shown me at the end of his life. He felt like he was disconnected from things and he was seeing things happen around him. And it's like he lost, like he's became more apathetic and he was just going through the motions of what was happening.
Yeah, I feel like he feels he didn't have enough protection in a sense around him either, like spiritual protection because of him, because of something about his aura too, because with the drugs and the drinking and everything and the energies around him, it was penetrating through his aura, so he was like more susceptible to the negative energies, because of it, because of everything he was doing and people around him, you know.
Yeah. So on Halloween, the it's when the veil is at its most thinnest, and so we are able to sense spirits more clearly during that time of year. Ancient Celtic times, it was associated with the end of the year, and people would look ahead to the new year and reflect on what they wanted to manifest in their lives. And there was a time of divination. People would look to the future and also they would pay tribute to loved ones' spirits set aside at the table for their loved ones. Because it's a time of year where we can sense spirit more clearly. So a lot of people feel more sensitive at this time of year.
Isn't it salmon? Isn't that like the old, I was gonna say Celtic. Isn't there like
Yeah,
certain
Samhain.
that one?
Samhain is the name for Halloween. And yeah, traditionally it was to do with the thin and the veil. Now Halloween's become more associated with scary things, but traditionally in Celtic cultures it was the time of the year where the veils are at its most thinnest, and so people celebrate the loved ones in the spirit world and remember them.
Ah, so that's kind of how the tradition probably started, was they picked this day back in like the Celtic tradition to honor like on Halloween. That was really, Halloween might have just been for lost souls, like departed souls, you know, like remembering that and oh, putting things on the altar and maybe sweet treats and things, and that turned into an interpretation of Halloween giving out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, with trick or treat. Yeah, we came into tune into trick or treat.
That's pretty cool. That makes sense. That makes sense now. And then since they put so much energy and emphasis in it over the years of picking that particular day, that's what's happened. Like all that energy keeps going towards that day now, you know?
Yeah, well, the ancient Celtic people they worked with the energies of the year, and so they'd have all the festivals around solstices, equinoxes, and so Samhain was to do with the end of the harvest
Mm.
and celebrating what they had that year, and so it was like the ending of a year. As they celebrated an ending, they also celebrating the people that we said goodbye to this year as well.
Oh, yeah. That's I thought of Klaus, Sneak Klaus. Remember how he'd come on our show sometimes?
Yeah, a special guest,
Yeah,
Klaus.
our sweet special guest. That's the time when I can honor Klaus on Halloween.
Put his favorite food out, and you can put his picture out and talk to him, and you will feel his energy more clearly then.
I already have out like his paintings, and then I have like an altar I made where I have like his name and like picture and things of and a candle by it and like little statues to just represent him, you know.
Oh, that's really sweet.
People will be representing their ancestors and I'll be channeling Niklaus on Halloween. He's part of my soul family, so I feel he's around like soul members in spirit, you know.
Yeah, he's always around you. I feel like he'll make himself known to you on Halloween.
Ah, I love that because it because
Look
it
out for a sign.
he'll growl. He used to do crazy things like he'll do something Klaus like that I would recognize, you know, like where
Ah, that's sweet.
so I recognize as him.
Thank you for listening to our podcast, The Mystic Sisters. I hope you have a good Halloween, and we'll be back again with another episode.